So I'm looking at Terence Crawford and Teofimo Lopez go back and forth about some things online, and then Teofimo Lopez responds to Terence Crawford. But Terence Crawford had said something about his resume being better than Teofimo's, and whoever thinks that, you know, you can read the rest. But it's kind of funny how people actually try to make the argument, oh, well, Teofimo's resume is better, or this guy's resume better. Let me tell you how people don't even realize boxing. They'll look back. They starting to look back now and realize it. But Teofimo's best win is Lomachenko. And who was Lomachenko's best win over the years? Gary Russell. And look how, and you notice how people don't give people Gary Russell credit until Lomachenko's resume come up. Oh, well, who Lomachenko fought? Well, he fought Gary Russell. Oh, now Gary Russell a great fighter. Oh, okay. So when we talk about Lomachenko resume, now all of a sudden, magically, you know how good Gary Russell is. Oh, okay. But people said, well, yeah, that Lomachenko win that Teofimo had, first of all, Lomachenko is not even a 135. He's like a 130. And he came up to 135. So, okay, you beat a 135 up. I'm at 130 up at 135. Okay. Then those same fans will turn around and sit here and say, well, Tank, he fought at 130. That's what Teofimo did. Beat Lomachenko basically at 130, at 135. Okay. What's the big deal about that? I don't understand. But then people don't give Devin Haney credit for beating Lomachenko. And Lomachenko was supposedly hurt in the Teofimo fight. Y'all didn't hear what he said he was hurt in the Teofimo fight? So why is Teofimo getting credit for beating the hurt Lomachenko, and Devin Haney's not getting credit for going the distance and beating a healthy Lomachenko, 100% healthy Lomachenko? And everybody said he still looked like he was in his prime. I didn't hear anybody complain about Lomachenko's skills in that Haney fight. After the Teofimo fight, people was like, well, he was hurt. He had surgery and shoulder. I'm like, what? So that's one thing. And then another thing when it comes to Terence Crawford's record or resume. So people say how Tank Davis' resume is amazing. If you really want to really get into it, Tank Davis' real toughest fight that I've seen was that Gamboa fight. Gamboa tore his Achilles in the third or fourth round. If people know anything, you're not even supposed to walk on Achilles at all for 5 minutes after you done tore it. Stu was sitting around here boxing another 20 minutes on that torn Achilles, and people acting like that wasn't a big deal. It lasted, what, to the last round? 12th round? Man, come on, man. And Terence Crawford got that win on his resume, and he fought that kind of guy in his prime. And he don't get no credit for that. And that's one of Tank's toughest fights, if not his toughest fight. Because at first, Tank said a couple months ago, Eastside Cruz was his toughest fight. Then Eastside Cruz just lost recently. Then he changed his toughest fight to somebody else. I forgot who it was. But Gamboa, that's a tough fight in his prime. I mean, if you tear your Achilles and go 12 rounds with Tank, and a lot of these guys Tank fighting now ain't going 8 rounds, and people say, oh, but Gamboa ain't that good. He lasted 12 rounds with Tank, and these other guys can't last 6 rounds. Look at Ryan. Look at what Gamboa did, and look what Ryan did. And Terence Crawford got that name in his resume way before. And guess what? He came up from the weight class that Tank is in right now. So when Terence Crawford was around that age, he was fighting around 35 and putting in big work. So he's already been doing what Tank doing now. And he was fighting Gamboa and all these guys in their prime. That's one of his toughest fights on Tank resume. Everybody know that. Dude tore his Achilles. Come on, man. And went 12 rounds. That's not a bum. But imagine if he didn't tear his Achilles. He would have went the distance. He's better than the Eastside Crew. A way better boxer. Gamboa is. Everybody knows that. But that's the whole thing. Like, when they talking about Terence Crawford resume, then they saying, oh, Spence. Spence ain't look bad until he fought Terence Crawford. It was Terence Crawford that made Spence look bad. It wasn't Spence that made him look bad. Spence that made Spence look bad. I don't know why people try and discredit, but then they'll sit around here and be like, oh, yeah. Well, Caleb Plant, he looked good in his last fight. Yeah, but he got dropped by Canelo and stuff like that. We'll forget about that fight with Caleb Plant, but even though, I like Caleb Plant. We'll forget about that. But then with Spence, oh, man, he just can't recover from that. What are you talking about? Y'all forget about Teofimo losing the Kambosos and getting dropped. But then you'll remember how Haney got dropped by Ryan and still went the distance, 12 rounds. But then we'll forget about Virgil Ortiz getting dropped a couple times and going the distance. But then these other guys, it's a big deal. Man, cut it out, man. These guys are full of it, to be honest with you. All these fans getting exposed. They don't have the same energy for people. Certain fighters go the distance with people and they look normal, then people make a big deal out of it. Oh, well, you can't do this against this guy. Come on, man. We really arguing. We really got people out here, because we know it's not about boxing at this point. Everybody, well, we got opinions. Yeah, you got an opinion, but the record shows that your opinion is not about boxing. A guy who sat out here and lost to Kambosos, he gonna do what against Terence Crawford? He can't even beat Kambosos. Why would Terence Crawford fight the loser? He might as well fight Kambosos then. Why would he fight the loser? Kambosos beat Teofimo last time I checked, right? Terence Crawford versus Kambosos is more of a realistic fight right now. Teofimo couldn't even get past Kambosos. What are we talking about? Are we serious? And a lot of people said Kambosos ain't had no chance. Oh, I don't know who that guy is. Okay. You'll see. And they saw. He ended up getting whooped in that fight. Got outboxed. Couldn't get past the left hook. Got dropped in that fight and everything. And people act like that fight didn't happen. Oh, yeah, it was a good fight. Then I seen everybody turn to Kambosos fans. I'm like, oh, man, everybody fake. As soon as Kambosos lost to Haney the first time and the second time, everybody went away. I said, oh, okay. I knew y'all weren't real fans from the beginning. They just thought Kambosos was going to beat Haney, and it didn't happen. Then they jumped off the bandwagon. They didn't think he was going to beat Teofimo. Man, they out here trolling Terence Crawford with these little kids in boxing, man. I'm for real. These dudes is like 10 years younger than this guy. What are we talking about? Why Boots Ennis ain't a option? That's my thing about it. I'm gonna have to talk about that later on, because that's a realistic fight to make, ain't it? Teofimo talking about crossing the street, so yeah, that's a fight to make.